Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, and it's kind of a sad day because I'm here to do a tribute video, a rest in peace video, if you will. As you probably know, if you watch this channel, on the 17th of July of 2024, Cheng Pei-pei passed away. And this was over a month ago at this point, so I realize this video is pretty late, but I wasn't really in the right headspace to make this video for the past few weeks, and I really wanted to find the right time to do it, to be in the right place, both mentally, physically, to just be able to kind of dedicate myself to it and take the subject seriously and have the time to make sure that it's a good video as a good tribute, because she was an absolutely legendary figure in the history of Hong Kong cinema, martial arts cinema, action cinema, Chinese language cinema, all the different things all the different labels you want to put on there. She was extremely important to all of those things. And what I want to do with this video is do my personal tribute, rather than try to do a biography or a film history lesson about how important she was and stuff like that. Because you could do an entire video about her importance as a woman, revolutionizing the role of women in action films and martial arts films, right? But I wanted to she's been very important to my life in two different periods, in kind of different ways, going back 20 plus years at this point, to when I was in high school. And so I wanted to take this time to do my kind of personal tribute to her. And then I invite you in the comments, anything you want to say about Cheng Pei-pei, about the films that she was in, about the influence she has had, about the films of hers you love the most, her on-screen presence, her ability as an actor, as a martial artist, anything like that, please leave it in the comments. And let's make this a really celebratory, positive space where we can appreciate her amazing contributions to the movies that we love so much. So when I was in high school, I think I was 17, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out, and it actually played at the 2-screen tiny theater in the tiny town that I went to high school in, that I lived in at the time. And I went and saw it, and I loved it, and it blew me away. And Cheng Pei-pei obviously is in that film. She plays one of the villains in the film. And the whole cast of that movie, with Chow Yun-fat, Michelle Yeoh, Zhang Ziyi, Cheng Pei-pei, those four especially stand out to me. They left a huge impression on me, because I was blown away by the sets. That was the first Wuxia film I had ever seen, and so that film was my introduction to Wuxia and my introduction to old school martial arts movies in general, right? Because I'd never seen a Shaw Brothers movie before that point. I think I had seen Enter the Dragon and maybe The Big Boss or Fist of... I'd seen one or two Bruce Lee movies at that point, and that was kind of it for pre Jackie Chan martial arts films, right? And the sets, the costumes, the scope of it. But the thing that really impressed me about that film, and really stuck to me and resonated with me, was the emotional core of the film, which comes from the characters, which was drawn out by these incredible performances by the core cast in that movie. And so Cheng Pei-pei, along with the others in that film, really impressed me and really left a really strong impression upon me. At that time, I was only kind of beginning to understand that I was a fan of Hong Kong cinema, right? I had seen Jackie Chan films. I started watching Jackie Chan films in, I believe, 1997, which is when I think First Strike and Operation Condor were released in the United States. Or maybe it was 96. Was it 96? I think it was 96. So in 1996, I started watching Jackie Chan movies. And from 96 until 99 or so, Jackie Chan was really the only Hong Kong cinema I was watching. And it was whatever I could find at the local video store. So Super Cop, Police Story, that kind of stuff I saw. And then in either 1999 or 2000, I don't remember exactly when, I saw Fallen Angels, the Wong Kar-wai film. And that film blew me away. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. I just fell in love with it immediately. And I was like, okay, so this takes place in Hong Kong. Jackie Chan is from Hong Kong. And there seems to be this thing called Hong Kong cinema, right? Now, of course, it's worth pointing out that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a Taiwanese film, and Ang Lee is a Taiwanese filmmaker. But that being neither here nor there, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon had a huge impact on my life in two different ways. The first being that I just loved that film, and it made me want to see more films like that. And it got me more interested in old school martial arts and wuxia and reading when the movie came out and there were reviews about it, and I would read the reviews, it would say stuff like, oh, Cheng Pei-pei, who's a legend of this film and that film, and made me want to go and try to see these films and stuff like that, right? And King Hu was referenced a lot, and I wanted to try to see some King Hu films and stuff like that. on top of the fact that I just loved the film, the success of that movie led to my local video store in this very small town that I lived in starting to carry all of these films that I had previously not had access to, like the Once Upon a Time in China movies. And I remember Time and Tide came out, I think the same year as Crouching Tiger, maybe the next year, and my video store got that movie. And I remember reading about that movie and thinking, this sounds really cool. I bet I'll never be able to see it. It'll never play here. Like, it won't come to the video stores. And then I saw it in my little small town local video store, and like, it wasn't just martial arts movies. They started carrying more Hong Kong cinema and more Asian cinema in general. Like, more Takeshi Kitano films started to show up in the wake of the success of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because people started renting these movies. And I was in high school at the time. Like I said, I remember I would go to the video store. My friends would go to the video store, and I would run into friends. I remember very specifically, actually, the logo for Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society was designed by a friend of mine from high school named Ian. I ran into Ian at the video store, and he was like, I think I might rent Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon again. And I'm like, how many times have you seen that movie? And he's like, I don't know, I can't count. But then, he was like, but they've got this Once Upon a Time in China, and they've got this. So like people were starting to look at these other Hong Kong films, martial arts films, and other Asian cinema, and start to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was like the gateway drug in a way that were getting people into these things because it had been such a big success in the United States. And so that was very important to me because, like I said, Time and Tide, the first two Once Upon a Time in China films, and other Jet Li movies as a result of getting into Once Upon a Time in China, I found my way into more Jet Li stuff, who obviously was in American films. So like I knew who he was, but I hadn't seen, I don't think, any of his films at that time, or maybe just like one or two of the American ones. And so it was a really important kind of moment, a cultural moment in my life that Cheng Pei-pei was, in my mind, a big part of and a big contributor to. So that's the first way in which Cheng Pei-pei had a really important and positive impact on my life. The second way is actually in the lead up to my starting this channel. So I went, excuse me, I went through a really big renaissance of my love of Hong Kong cinema over what was essentially like a 5-year period, from like 2010 until about 2015. In 2010, I got way back into Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yoon Bi-yu, those guys, who I hadn't been watching their movies a lot for like maybe like 5, 6, 7 years before that, right? And for whatever reason, in the summer of 2010, I was like, I just want to watch a bunch of Jackie Chan movies, and I marathoned like as many of them as I could find, right? And I started getting back into Chow Yun-fat films, John Woo, and other stuff like that, like Ringo Lam. And that lasted like all the way through, like while I was in grad school and like going to screenings in LA. Like I saw The Killer in theaters. I saw Eastern Condor's Hero Shed No Tears, Snake and Eagle's Shadow, Drunken Master, The Big Heat, The Longest Night. Like I was really into Johnny Toe at the time. And that kind of like led into, in about 2014 or so, I realized I had only seen like a handful of Shaw Brothers movies at that point. And I was like, I need to get back into, or I guess kind of generally speaking, more into Shaw Brothers films. And I need to really kind of dig deep and see as many of them as I can. And like, I wanted to understand the history of the cinema more and stuff like that. And around that time, Goodbye Dragon Inn played at a theater in LA called the New Art, which at that time was right around the corner from where I was working. And they did matinees. So I left an early morning shift. I was working at a dog daycare. After grad school, I was reading scripts freelance, and then part-time for like half the day from like whatever 8 to noon or 8 to 1 or something. I was working at dog daycare as like an extra job so that I had like money coming in addition to the money I was making from freelance reading scripts, because this is right after I finished grad school. I just kind of wanted like a part-time thing so I could focus on writing and reading scripts and stuff like that. And so I walked around the corner from where I worked to the theater, and I watched Dragon Inn, and it blew me away. And I was like, fuck. And then I remembered King Hu had come up in all of these reviews of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I was like, okay, so I need to see more King Hu movies. I saw Come Drink With Me. I think this was 2015. I'm almost positive. I saw Come Drink With Me. And if you saw my review of that film when I think Arrow put it out recently, or if you ever heard me talk about that film very glowingly, I loved that movie. And Cheng Pei-pei is the star of that film. And I just loved it so much. Everything about that movie, I loved. I loved like the kind of the mystery of it, the hidden identities. I love any movie that has like a big traditional style Chinese looking restaurant that's two stories with like the hotel rooms on the top and the restaurants on the bottom, and then there's a giant fucking fight. Like literally any movie that has that, I'm already in love with because I just love that so much. And obviously, there's a very famous fight scene in that movie that takes place like that, and I just loved that. I loved that movie, and I've seen it several times since then. And really dragging in, and then with like Come Drink with Me, like I would say I love those movies as much as one another. I wouldn't say I like one more than the other, but Come Drink with Me was like the one where I was cemented it for me. Like, oh yes, okay, King Hu is amazing. Old school martial arts movies are amazing. Shaw Brothers movies are amazing. Like I need to see as much of this as possible, and that led me into this huge Shaw Brothers phase. Right, that Shaw Brothers phase, coupled with like a resurgence of my love of, like I said, Chow Yun-fat, Heroic Bloodshed, Johnny To, Jackie Chan, over that period of like 5 or 6 years, led me to a point in about 2016 or so when I wanted to create some kind of project that would focus on Hong Kong cinema and just talk about the movies and like try to create a community and stuff like that. At the time, I was working for a website, and I almost proposed a content vertical essentially for the website that would be about Hong Kong cinema. But there I had this kind of feeling, I had this inkling that I didn't want someone else to own it. I didn't want to create something, give it to my employer, and then if I were to leave, it was theirs. It was not mine anymore. I was like, this is something I want to do myself. That's important to me. That is more like, I don't want it to be like a professional endeavor that I'm trying to like attach to my job and some, corporate identity or whatever. I want it to be like a passion project more so, right? And so Cheng Pei-pei, along with, like I said, Chow Yun-fat and John Woo and others, played a very important role in the resurgence of my love of these films and the kind of my deep dive into Shaw stuff that led to me creating this channel. So that's kind of my personal tribute to Cheng Pei-pei, and that's what I wanted to talk about, those two periods in my life where she was very, very important to me in different ways. And like when I was in high school, and then when I was in my 30s after I got out of grad school, like one in LA, one in Vermont, like different places, different times, different eras, but very important and equally in both of those times to me. So my name is Will. This is Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. As I said, please do leave in the comments your own tributes to Cheng Pei-pei, or if you've done tribute articles that you've written or videos or anything like that, feel free to link them in the comments so people can find them. And thank you for watching my tribute, and we'll see you next time.